another video here on Raya Reviews. So if you've been wondering where I've been, I have been a bit busy, not really super busy, but dealing with a lot of stuff right now. Ever since I got back from New York, it's just been kind of stressful. School's starting in a couple weeks, and just some stuff going on with some friends of mine, and some stuff going on. It's been a little bit stressful, a little bit busy. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight into this. This is going to be a review of Taylor Swift's new album, Lover. So, this is her follow-up to her 2017 album, Reputation, which I will review at some point. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Very, very heavy synth production that I wasn't a fan of at all. It did not fit her voice. Would have worked for another singer, maybe, but did not work well for her voice, in my opinion. I absolutely loved her 2014 album, 1989. I still love that album. I haven't really heard her other older albums as much, but I've been a big fan of Taylor ever since I started listening to 1989, and I will admit that my favorite album by her is still 1989. It's a very clean and great sounding synth pop record. Reputation does have some good songs on it. New Year's Day, The Closer is a great song, and there's some good pop tracks on there like Dancing with Our Hands Tied, and even some heavier tracks that I like Don't Blame Me. But at the end of the day, Reputation, especially its singles, was kind of a disaster in my opinion. And there isn't a lot else for me to say about it. Going into Lover, I didn't know what to expect. The lead-off single, Me, for this album, which is actually the 16th track on the album has 18 songs on it, and it's just over an hour. The lead-off single, Me, I was mixed positive on it when I reviewed the song, and honestly, I don't think a lot has changed. I do find the song rather annoying, and it kind of gets on my nerves a bit. The way she repeats the words, Me, and the way she sings it on the chorus and the bridge where they're chanting, it sounds very, very annoying. And I think I was able to diagnose my feelings about this song and truly the issue. While it's not a bad song at all, it is very bombastic, but not necessarily in a good way. And I think I was able to diagnose, based on the video and based on the lyrics and the song, what it reminds me of. And the thing that it reminds me of most is Can't Stop Feeling by Justin Timberlake, although that song is not nearly as bombastic and overproduced. I liked that song, but I was able to pinpoint my problems with Me, basically boiling down to that it feels like a glorified children's movie song. That's what it feels like, and that is my serious problem with it. You Need to Calm Down was the next single. Again, this was released as the second single and the 14th track on the album, and I kind of like it. I think it's got some nice synth, although it is pretty basic. The beat's kind of generic. The song is catchy though. It's got that, general condescending Taylor Swift vibe, and it's a bit misguided, trying to play into the LGBTQ stuff, although I will admit that I do think she had good intentions. I just think that it was kind of misguided. Now, the bridge is great, as it kind of makes fun of stan culture, and we'll get some more smart commentary and other stuff on this album. And there's a lot I could say about this album in general. Overall, yes, I absolutely do think it's a step up from Reputation. I do think the synth production is a lot lighter and suits her voice much better. Unfortunately, there does seem to be some issues with some of the songs. Not that any of them are individually bad, I would say, but sometimes they just don't flow into each other very well, and there's a lot of different styles that she's experimenting with. Taylor Swift is at a phase in her career where, like Miley Cyrus, she can pretty much do any style that she wants, and this is used to her advantage on this album. There are a lot of good songs in different styles, but it doesn't feel like the most cohesive album of all time. So the album opens with I Forgot That You Existed, which is a pretty cute song. She does have this kind of weird cadence in it, this kind of talk singing, but that's something that Taylor can do well when she's talking about her relationship. And another song that is kind of like this is I Think He Knows. This song is a bop musically. It's a really fun synth pop song, and kind of in the vein of something like All You Had to Do Was Stay from 1989. I do really enjoy that song a lot. Now, this album is not absent of more country offerings, starting with the title track, Lover, which is a great little song. It's very fresh, it's country-ish, it sounds great, it's inspired It's a great love song, and the writing is tight. I love how the opening line is about the Christmas lights, leaving the Christmas lights up, and I really do enjoy that. And I will say that the beat a little bit, in addition to reminding me of country, it also reminds me a little bit of a 50s song. I would call this song a Country or Tattooed Heart by Ariana Grande. That does sound a bit weird to say, but kind of the way, the vibe that this song gives me, the innocent vibe, the 50s vibe it gives me. Really nice song. Some other songs on here, that have some country tendencies to them are Paper Rings, which is a really fun, just song. I like the concept of it. It's very country-ish. It's very down to earth. The concept is I like shiny things, but I'd marry you with paper rings. The writing's fun, and I really like that sentiment because a lot of songs now are very about buying expensive things, and of course, Seven Rings by Ariana Grande. I wonder if this was a little bit of a jab at that. As much as I do like Ariana Grande, that was not one of her better singles, and this song is just fun. Of course, we have Soon You'll Get Better featuring the Dixie Chicks. This was about Taylor's mother, and it's a little bit too close to home for me to really fully endorse, not because I don't like the song, but for personal reasons. Now, I do really think this song is very well written. The guitars and piano sound nice, and then we have some of the more mixed results outside of me. False God is a song that is a bit odd. It uses some odd religious imagery, although I will say, speaking of Ariana, I do think she does it better than Ariana. She's not trying to be a sex goddess, but she's basically talking about worshiping this love, and the whole thing, it just comes off as kind of weird. I don't mind the production. It's kind of got a low-key hip-hop kind of vibe to it, and it's minimalistic, except for some reason there's this saxophone, which just is kind of in the background. It just doesn't seem to fit the vibe of the song at all. The saxophone reminds me of when I was on top of the Empire State Building around midnight, and I heard someone playing a saxophone, and when I think of that kind of thing, I don't think of being isolated and having sex, which is what the song kind of conveys. That's not what I think about. I think about crowds and cities and, like, you know what I mean? Speaking of New York, Cornelia Street is a great song. It's personality driven. It's a personal tale of when she met this guy and this apartment that she was staying in, and again, I mean, I don't know how much of it was true, and there's a lot of romanticism in this song, and I really do like it. To digress real quick about New York, I do really love New York. I just want to say, if you haven't watched my very long I Went to Manhattan video, please watch it because I go into more depth there. But while I'm here, I just wanted to say that I do really don't think New York can be romanticized because I definitely felt that on certain levels. Something can be magical and imperfect, and I stand by that opinion. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure, Taylor being very wealthy, not sure if she knows all the realities, but given that she has lived there, only in a very wealthy neighborhood, I wonder how much she travels around to the other areas and sees stuff that I ended up seeing when I was there. So, without further ado, going back to Cornelia Street, the production is really good on this song. It's a bit overlong, but it's still really good. Now, one of the odd things is that the beat to me sounds like the Macarena, kind of, the synth beat in the back. I don't know why. This is just another song that I don't really know what to say. And again, she's using the thing as both a literal street and a metaphor, which I like for the relationship. Kind of like Honeymoon Avenue with Ariana Grande. And I'm sorry to be comparing this to Ariana Grande. It doesn't sound anything like it, but yeah. And then, immediately following that is Death by a Thousand Cuts, which is a bit of an odd one. It's kind of got some kind of very emo, dark, lyrical vibe to it, just from that thing. It's very reverb saturated, and there's an acoustic guitar on it. The writing's kind of clunky, and there's this really wonky keyboard stuff that's going on there, and it feels really dissonant with the melody of the rest of the song. Not saying it's bad in and of itself. And this is where she's singing about small towns, which is good. I think this is nice that Taylor's able to talk about pretty much anywhere she's been or traveled. And also the guitar on the chorus kind of reminds me of It Ain't Me by Selena Gomez and Kygo a bit, which is fine, but it reminds me of the verses of that song, which is an EDM song that I do really enjoy. You might see that on my best list when I get around to that. But saying all that, Death by a Thousand Cuts is kind of a mediocre song. Same with a song following it, London Boy, which, well, yeah, it's definitely about her current boyfriend, and I'm totally okay with that. But the writing is kind of clunky. There's some light hip-hop style production here, and I would say it gets a bit overproduced on the chorus. There's horns, again, kind of randomly. The writing is kind of clunky and shows she doesn't know a ton about London. I don't either, but people from London have commented on this. And this is just kind of an instance of whatever, and I do think the song is okay, but not great. Again, most of the songs on here are pretty good, but again, there's still some mediocre ones. It's Nice to Have a Friend. That one is a bit odd to me. It's very short, and it kind of makes me wonder if Taylor is engaged. Same thing with Paper Rings, honestly. It kind of makes me wonder with these two songs if she's secretly engaged, and this is how she revealed it to the public, or if she's just singing about love in general and just using those as an example. She might sing Even Almost Got Married, and for Joe, I'm so thankful. Anyway, getting back to the rest of the album, Afterglow is a song with a pretty heavy beat, and the lyrics on this song are decent. There's not a whole ton to say about it, but I will say, outside of the song being self-reflective, that the color blue is a really interesting theme on this album. She uses it in several songs, and on Cruel Summer, which is the second track, she talks about this guy and this relationship in Cruel Summer. I really like the low notes on this song. Her low register is really good, and it kind of sounds like Reputation, but in a more modern vein, but definitely not overproduced clusterfuck that album was. I'm sorry, but that's just true. And going back into this track listing of some of the songs that got a little more political, is The Man, which is a song that I'm not super fond of in terms of the production. The synth feels kind of grating to me, but some of the writing on this song is pretty clever. Basically, it's kind of like If I Were a Boy by Beyonce, but better, and it's about the music industry, and some of the stuff that I've seen women say, it's kind of made me roll my eyes a bit with the music industry when you're already a successful writer and musician. But I think of Taylor Swift, not all the hate is deserved at all. There's been a lot of shit. She has played the victim a little more than necessary, but in some cases, I do think that her anger is justified. And Ariana Grande said a similar thing about, why can't I do this, because male rappers do this kind of thing. And again, I really do think this song has some really clever writing, especially on the bridge when she talks about rappers and how they make bad a good thing, make being bad a good thing, and how when a girl does it, it's seen as wrong or bad. And I do think that was a really good insight. Now, immediately following that is the best song on the album, The Archer. I love the dream pop vibe of this song. I love the lyrics, except for the nose line is a little bit wonky. But other than that, I really do think the song is great. I love how the production picks up towards the end. Immaculate production. I really love the bridge and the harmonies. The multi-tracking on this song, it's absolutely fantastic. And while we're talking about political stuff, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince, another really good song that I do really enjoy. I will say that this one definitely has some social commentary on it, and it's not just a song about Taylor Swift's relationship. It could be taken at face value as a song about prom or relationship, but going into it, it is more about politics, and there are some slightly annoying backing vocals in the song. The production, I would put it somewhere between 1989 and Reputation in terms of what it sounds like. Still very solid. Again, the song is good and everything, but some of the interesting writing, again, painting the town blue, and voted most likely to run away with you. And I really do like some of the writing on this song. Again, if you're not on board with that, then you're probably not going to like it, but I think I've made my opinions relatively clear in the past. So, anyway, overall, the album is pretty solid. I would say most of these songs range from being mediocre to very good. And the closing track is called Daylight, and it's a really nice song. I love, it is a bit long, and the outro where she's talking is a bit weird, but it's a very good song. The low stems fit her voice, the production fits her voice, and it's a good simple closer to the album. Now, speaking of songs that reminded me of things, the part where she says, Daylight, Daylight, really reminded me of Halo by Beyonce, and for that matter, Already Gone by Kelly Clarkson, which reminded everyone of Halo by Beyonce. I wonder if Ryan Tedder also wrote this song. Anyway, guys, so yes, my verdict on the album overall, it's pretty solid, definitely a big step up from her last album. I would kind of put this in the same camp as Thank You Next being a big step up from her last album, except kind of the opposite in some ways, because Thank You Next was a very dark album in some ways, and Sweetener was a very light album. This is a very light album, but it also does have some dark undertones to it. The writing is pretty good. There are some clunky moments, but overall, I don't think it's bad. And Taylor Swift sounds really good on the album. Most of the production is decent. There are some places where some elements of the production feel kind of out of place. But overall, I really do like the way Taylor sounds on this album. Her voice has always been great, and we can actually hear it this time. Yay! Anyway, the album overall is going to be getting a 7 out of 10 from me. Pretty solid. Definitely not as good as 1989, but a huge step up from Reputation, which had so many problems, and trust me, I'll get to that in that review. But anyway, guys, for now, that's going to be all. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and comment down below what your favorite songs from this album were, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!